You know she can't pay, yet you serve her anyway. Do you want your wages docked? The manager shouted across the diner, making the young waitress bow her head in silence. In the corner booth, the little girl sat motionless, her eyes filled with shame. The next morning, a man in a black suit walked in, followed by 4 bodyguards, and asked, "Who's the person who's been helping my daughter all this time? Welcome to QH. Let's uncover what really happened." Maya Brooks tied her apron with practiced efficiency as dawn broke over Maple and Morning's cafe. At 27, she had worked the morning shift for 3 years, arriving each day at 5:30 a.m. to prep for the blue-collar crowd that started pouring in by 6. The pay was minimal, the tips inconsistent, and the manager perpetually grumpy. But Maya loved the morning regulars, construction workers who remembered her birthday, teachers who shared classroom stories, and elderly couples who split a single breakfast plate. "Order up," called the short order cook, sliding a plate of eggs and hash browns across the counter. Maya delivered it with a genuine smile, the kind that reached her eyes despite the early hour. Most of the staff wondered how she maintained her warmth in a job that paid so little and demanded so much. On a particularly cold Monday in October, the bell above the door chimed at exactly 7 a.m. Maya looked up to see a small figure step inside, a girl no older than 10, wearing a faded yellow jacket too thin for the autumn chill. Her hair was pulled into an uneven ponytail, and she clutched a worn backpack against her chest like a shield. Without making eye contact with anyone, the girl slid into the corner booth farthest from the entrance and waited, shoulders hunched, barely visible above the table. Maya approached with a menu. "Good morning. Can I get you something?" The girl whispered her order. "Egg sandwich, please." Her voice so soft, Maya had to lean in to hear. When time came to pay, the girl counted out crumpled dollar bills in quarters, coming up short by nearly $2. Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "It's okay," Maya said quietly. "We have a student discount." She covered the difference from her own pocket, and even snuck a warm glass of milk alongside the sandwich. "Growing bones need calcium," she said with a wink. The girl didn't respond but ate every bite, her eyes darting occasionally to the door, as if worried someone might enter. For 2 weeks straight, this routine continued. Every morning at 7 a.m., the yellow jacket, the quiet order, Maya's discreet assistance. The girl never spoke beyond her order, never smiled, never looked directly at anyone, but she always came. On the 15th day, as Maya placed a fresh sandwich and milk before the girl, Doug, the diner manager, appeared beside her, his face contorted with annoyance. "You giving out free food again?" he demanded, voice loud enough to draw stares. Maya straightened. "She pays most of it. I just help with the difference." Doug's eyes narrowed. "She's not a paying customer. Stop playing Mother Teresa in my diner." The girl's shoulders curled inward, her gaze fixed on the table. "She's just a child," Maya whispered. "I can't let her go to school hungry." "Not your problem," Doug snapped. "No more freebies or it comes from your check." Maya bit her lip and nodded, feeling the girl's shame as if it were her own. The next morning, a new sign appeared on the staff bulletin board. "Notice: no unaccompanied minors to be served without full payment. Staff found providing unauthorized discounts will face wage deduction." Management. Maya stared at the notice, her stomach nodding. The message was clear. Doug was watching her. "Guess your charity case is cut off," smirked Trish, another waitress, snapping a photo of the sign with her phone. "Doug's on the warpath." By noon, the photo had circulated through the staff group chat with the caption, "Maya playing guardian angel again." Several coworkers added laughing emojis. "You shouldn't stick your neck out," advised Hank, the elderly line cook. "Job's hard enough without making waves." Maya said nothing, continuing to refill ketchup bottles with mechanical precision. Her thoughts remained with the girl in the yellow jacket. At 2:15 p.m., Doug summoned Maya to his cramped office behind the kitchen. A single sheet of paper lay on his cluttered desk, an official warning notice. "Sign here," he said without looking up from his invoices. "Consider this your first and only warning about unauthorized discounts." "Doug, she's just a kid trying to—" "Not our problem," he cut her off. "Parents should feed their own kids." "Sign it." Maya took the pen, her hand trembling slightly. She could argue, explain how the girl counted pennies, how her clothes seemed more worn each day. She could mention how the girl always arrived alone, always watched the door with anxious eyes, and instead she simply signed. "Don't make me regret keeping you on," Doug added as she turned to leave. "Plenty of people would take your job tomorrow." That night, Maya lay awake in her studio apartment, replaying the day's events. She couldn't afford to lose this job. Rent was due, her student loans weren't going anywhere, and waitressing positions that accommodated her night classes were hard to find. But the thought of turning the girl away made her physically ill. Morning arrived with a decision. Maya would pay for the girl's breakfast herself, in full, keeping the transaction completely separate from the diner's books. Doug couldn't object to her serving a legitimate, paying customer. As expected, 7 a.m. brought the yellow jacket and hunched shoulder. Maya approached with her usual smile. Good morning? The usual, a barely perceptible nod. Maya brought the egg, sandwich, and milk, then discreetly paid at the register herself. The girl ate in silence, her movements careful and measured, like someone accustomed to making herself invisible. But today was different. As Maya cleared nearby tables, she noticed the girl pull something from her backpack, a folded paper, creased from being folded and refolded many times. The girl placed it under her empty milk glass before slipping quickly out the door. Maya picked up the paper, unfolding it carefully. In large uneven handwriting, "You're the only one who talks to me without being scared. I like the milk every morning. Thank you." Something caught in Maya's throat. She slipped the note into her apron pocket, close to her heart. In that moment, Maya understood. The girl wasn't ungrateful or oblivious. She simply didn't know how to express gratitude in a world that had taught her to expect nothing. That afternoon, Doug caught Maya reviewing the security camera footage from the morning. "What are you doing?" he demanded. "Just checking if someone left a phone." She lied quickly. In truth, she wanted to see if the girl ever met anyone outside, if there was a parent or guardian who dropped her off. The footage showed only the girl walking alone down the block, stopping twice to look over her shoulder before disappearing around a corner. "Focus on your actual job," Doug muttered. "You're not getting paid to play detective." That night, for the first time, Maya wondered who this child was, and where she came from. Not out of curiosity, but concern. If you've ever helped someone without being properly understood, type real, because true kindness needs no explanation. The following morning dawned gray and drizzly. Maya arrived earlier than usual, preparing a fresh egg sandwich to have ready precisely at 7 a.m. But 7 a.m. came and went with no sign of the yellow jacket. By 7:30, Maya found herself checking the door every few minutes, worry gnawing at her stomach. Had her interaction with Doug scared the girl away? Was she sick or worse? Had something happened to her? At 8:15, the diner's atmosphere shifted suddenly. Conversation died mid-sentence, as a gleaming black SUV with tinted windows pulled up directly in front of the entrance. Two men in suits emerged first, scanning the area before opening the rear door. A tall man in an impeccably tailored black suit stepped out. His presence commanded attention, not flashy or loud, but radiating quiet authority. Two more suited men flanked him as he entered the diner. The breakfast crowd fell silent. Forks paused mid-bite. Doug emerged from the back office, eyes widening at the scene. He hurried forward, smoothing his rumpled shirt. "Good morning, sir. Welcome to Maple and Mornings. How can we help you?" The man's eyes, sharp, intelligent, and slightly tired around the edges, swept across the diner. He ignored Doug's greeting. "I'm looking for the person who's been helping my daughter," he stated. His voice was deep but controlled, revealing nothing about his intention. Maya froze by the coffee station, pitcher in hand. The four bodyguards positioned themselves strategically around the diner, their posture professional but unmistakably vigilant. Doug's smile faltered. "I'm not sure I understand." "My daughter," the man repeated calmly. 10 years old, yellow jacket. "She's been coming here for breakfast." Maya sat down the coffee pitcher and stepped forward. Her heart hammered against her ribs. "That's me," she said quietly. "I've been serving her." The man turned, studying her face for a long moment. His expression shifted from scrutiny to something softer, more vulnerable. "She hasn't eaten breakfast outside our home since her mother died," he said. "You're the first person she's spoken a complete sentence to in 3 years." The diner remained absolutely silent. Even the kitchen sounds had ceased. "I didn't know," Maya whispered. The man approached her, extending his hand. "Graham Pierce." Several gasps rippled through the diner. Even Maya recognized the name. Graham Pierce, tech investor and philanthropist, whose face occasionally graced business magazines. "My daughter is Isla," he continued. "After her mother's accident, she developed selective mutism. Therapists, specialists, medications. Nothing helped. Then yesterday she handed her tutor a note about a kind waitress. He reached into his jacket and produced the folded paper Maya had seen the previous day. This is the first time she's reached out to anyone, Graham said, his composure cracking slightly. I had to find out who you were. Doug stepped forward, his demeanor completely transformed. Mr. Pierce, I can assure you our establishment always welcomes your daughter. In fact, I personally instructed Miss Brooks to take special care of her. Graham's gaze hardened as he turned to Doug. Really? Because my security team reviewed your establishment before I entered. They overheard quite a different story from your staff. Doug paled, visibly. Where is Isla today? Maya asked, concern overriding her awe. At home with a cold, Graham answered. She was upset about missing her breakfast here. He turned back to Doug, his tone measured but firm. I don't need your apologies. What I need are people like her. He nodded toward Maya. In my organization. From his pocket, he removed a business card, handing it to Maya. Ms. Brooks, if you're interested in opening your own restaurant, I'd like to fully finance it. Maya stared at the card, her vision blurring with tears. I don't understand, she managed. You showed kindness to my daughter when she was invisible to everyone else. Graham said simply, I'd like to return that kindness. The diner's entrance chimed. A small figure in a yellow jacket slipped inside, followed by an older woman, who must have been her caretaker. Isla, no longer anonymous, no longer just the girl, approached Maya slowly. For the first time she looked directly into Maya's eyes. Will you still have egg sandwich? She asked in a small but clear voice. Maya knelt to meet her gaze, tears flowing freely now. Every single day, if you want them. Isla smiled, a tiny fragile thing, but unmistakably real. If you believe kindness will be heard, even when people can't speak, type her. 1 month later, I&M Mornings opened its doors 6 blocks from Maple and Mornings Cafe. The Cozy Cafe, its name a combination of Isla and Maya, featured warm lighting, comfortable seating, and a special corner designated for school children. A small sign on the wall read, No child turned away, all students welcome. Maya had insisted on keeping prices affordable. The restaurant's business model included a suspended meal program, where customers could prepay for food that would go to someone who couldn't afford it. Isla came every morning before school, her yellow jacket, now accompanied by a small apron embroidered with the cafe's logo. She didn't speak much, but she helped arrange napkins and wrote the daily specials in her improving handwriting. Sometimes Graham joined them, sitting quietly with his laptop while Isla worked alongside Maya. Other times he sent the car to pick Isla up afterward, always with a generous tip and a note of thanks. Doug had sent Maya a lengthy email apologizing and offering her old job back with a substantial raise. She didn't respond. Several former Maple and Mornings regulars now frequented I&M Mornings instead. Hank, the elderly line cook, had joined Maya's team, bringing his secret hash brown recipe with him. When local news caught wind of the story, reporters requested interviews. Maya declined most, but agreed to one brief statement. I didn't do anything extraordinary. I just refused to ignore a child who needed to be seen. The reporter pressed for more details about Graham Pierce's involvement and the financial arrangement behind the cafe. Maya smiled. This isn't about money. It's about creating a space where kindness is the default, not the exception. On quiet afternoons, Maya sometimes caught Isla watching her with a thoughtful expression. The girl was slowly emerging from her shell, not in dramatic bursts, but in small significant moments. She now greeted regular customers with nods, occasionally whispered comments to Maya about the pastry display, and had started keeping a journal of her own. One morning, Isla arrived with a carefully wrapped packet. Inside was a framed photograph of herself, smiling tentatively, holding an egg sandwich. Beneath it, in her distinctive handwriting, thank you for the milk when I was thirsty and the kindness when I was hungry. Maya hung it behind the counter, a quiet reminder that sometimes the most important acts of kindness are the ones no one else notices. Subscribe to keep their silent stories alive. Heroes never fade. One afternoon, Maya stood behind the counter at Maple and Mornings, watching Isla help a smaller child fold napkins. It struck her then, not just the beauty of growth, but the miracle of trust rebuilt thread by thread. The girl once hidden beneath a yellow jacket was now the quiet heartbeat of something far bigger than a cafe. In every warmed sandwich and handwritten thank you, Maya saw what no grant or title could buy: healing made visible,
Some people need money, some people need fame, but some people just need a warm glass of milk each morning to help them through a grief no one else can see. Maya didn't know who Isla was, but she recognized that silence can also be a cry for help. Sometimes kind people don't need recognition, they just need permission to keep being kind. In a world that rewards the loudest voices, remember to listen for the quiet ones too. They often have the most important things to say. Subscribe to QH Incredible Stories, where the quietest people are given the loudest voice. We told their story, you gave it meaning. Thank you.